back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. And man, we're in this thing live this morning talking about the AFC North and all in moves. So, just so you know, I do not have the chat open, so I won't be able to see your commentary. But if you're in here live or in the record, man, you all appreciate it. We thank you for being here. And by all means, chat it up. So, the AFC North, man, was already speculated to be a three-team race, right? Ravens expected to win. Steelers coming in second, competing with the Bengals for that second spot. And we understand that all things are possible in a regular season, right? Anything can happen over the course of 17 games. And then the caveat would be, or the contingency would be, what does a team do at the trade deadline? But we've had some major movement in the AFC North, not at a trade deadline, but in the off season. And in today's context, man, we're going to talk specifically about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their moves and what does that look like compared to the Baltimore Ravens. And so when you think about, man, the most recent news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know that they traded Jalen Ramsey for Nika Fitzpatrick. Or let me say it better. When you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their latest move, which was sending Nika Fitzpatrick and a fifth round pick to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for Jalen Ramsey, you have to ask, is this an all-in move by the Steelers? We understand they've made several moves over the course of this offseason, several moves that should have catapulted them into contingency, into contention, not contingency, contention for the AFC North crown. I mean, when you think about their moves, hold on, let me jump in here with sort of an announcement. So what we'll be doing every Tuesday, we'll be having AFC North conversation, and it'll be AFC North teams, of course, but through how it impacts the Baltimore Ravens. All right. So just want to put that out there so you will have an understanding of why we're talking about the Steelers on today. But now, so this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers have seemed to just be moving chairs around, not really making any progress, right? If you think about the trade for DK Metcalf, right? So now, as a Baltimore Ravens fan, how I'm looking at that is this: DK Metcalf and George Pickens, they did not have the quarterback at that point in time, but whoever was going to be the signal caller, they have a dynamic duo, two guys who are explosive. But what did they do in a subsequent move a couple of weeks later? They traded George Pickens, right? So they went from having a potential dynamic duo rivaling what the Cincinnati Bengals have uh, in the division to now it's still just a one-trick pony at the wide receiver position for the Steelers, and that's DK Metcalf. It didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, especially if they were really going all in. In fact, they start out looking like they're making all-in moves, but then they have a counter move that lessens the impact, right? And this is not me banging on the Steelers. They've done well throughout their history with building teams and being in contention. But I'll tell you near the end what this is really about. And so you add one, subtract one. So you basically have the same thing, a one wide receiver uh, group, basically. You have DK Metcalf and some supplemental parts, okay? Didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense because George Pickens is still on his rookie deal, right? So you could have kept him. And if things were not going well, you could trade him at the trade deadline. You didn't have to trade him this offseason. Now, hey, it's beneficial for us not to have to defend both of those wide receivers. But it just didn't seem like it was a move that was beneficial overall to the team. With understanding, George Pickens has his own issues, But what wide receiver worth their salt does not have some issues in the context of being a diva? And I've had many conversations with different people, Ravens fans and Steelers fans, where they thought it was a good move, and then some thought it was a bad move. That's Ravens fans and Steelers fans both. But it's definitely beneficial for the Ravens for them to have added Metcalf and then traded away George Pickens. All right. So then when we move to this most recent move, okay, Nika Fitzpatrick is from Miami through the draft originally. And then so they send him back to Miami with this trade, bringing in Jalen Ramsey. But the strange thing is, okay, you had Joey Porter Jr., then you sign Darius Slay. So you trade for another high end, potentially high end cornerback, but then you get rid of your safety. So I'm wondering if Warren Thornhill is going to be the starting free safety, and maybe you're going to see some three cornerback sets and things of that nature. I mean, which could work, right? It could work in Pittsburgh. But the fact of the matter is, if it was really an all-in off season, it seems like you make a trade for Ramsey and you keep Fitzpatrick as well. So that way your secondary is even more elite. And so I'm not 100% sure what the Steelers are really doing this offseason. Again, it seems like they were going all in with some of their moves, but then they have a counterproductive move that seems to lessen the impact of the addition. Uh, One Thornhill can play. He absolutely can. Ramsey still can play. And I guess if you compare Ramsey to Nika Fitzpatrick's most recent seasons, it would seems as if Ramsey has sort of the advantage, if you will, sort of the better output over the last couple of seasons. I guess people are speculating in Pittsburgh that Nika Fitzpatrick had fell off, and maybe he had. But you don't take away a Pro Bowl safety at a Pro Bowl corner and then have to figure it out this late in the offseason. But hey, that's not here nor there. I think the defense is still going to be good. I do. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense will still be good. You still have high end edge rush. You added Derek Harmon. I believe that's who they added in the draft, if I'm thinking correctly. And then you have uh, your back end additions of Darius Slay and also Jalen Ramsey. So I think they'll still be good. And then, of course, the biggest name of all the names they added was Aaron Rodgers. So the question is, why Aaron Rodgers over someone else? Why Aaron Rodgers over a draft pick in the draft? Why Aaron Rodgers over a Justin Fields? Why Aaron Rodgers over Russell Wilson? Is Aaron Rodgers an upgrade? I'm not 100% sure. Holistically, he's a better quarterback, right, than Wilson or Justin Fields throughout their careers. But at this point in time, at a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers versus those other guys, was he the better option? I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to see. But if you knew all along, as being a Steelers fan, not me, but I'm saying as a Steelers fan, I'm wondering, did they know all along if Aaron Rodgers was going to be the quarterback pick? If he was, then you should have kept George Pickens. Why not make a true all-in move? Add Aaron Rodgers. Do you think Aaron Rodgers would be better with or without George Pickens? Right? Uh, think about it. The combination of Metcalf and Pickens with Rodgers makes them better. This version of them isn't so great. Now, another addition that they did make is Jonnu Smith, who I think was a Pro Bowler last season. I may be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that he was. And so it looks like what they're trying to do is mock the rest of the AFC North and get high-end tight end talent, right? We understand that the Ravens, we have the best tight end room in the league. We know that Gesicki had a really good season out in Cincinnati. And Njoku is a really good tight end out in Cleveland. And so I think Pittsburgh wanted to upgrade. So you kind of get a 2-for-1, right? I think that maybe Miami was trying to save some money. Maybe they have another supplemental move they're going to make. And so I think that Pittsburgh overall is better with this trade because you get a 2-for-1, two guys who can play immediately, no learning curve really. Both of them are all pros, pro bowlers, uh, throughout their career. And so I think they're better. But does Jonnu Smith uh, become a supplement for what they do not have at the wide receiver position? I don't know. But I think what we're going to see from the Pittsburgh Steelers this season is two tight end set, DK Metcalf on the outside. I don't know who will be opposite him, but I think Jonnu Smith and Firemouth will be what we see a lot. I think they're going to try to attack the middle of the field and then go deep with DK Metcalf. I think that's going to be their scheme. And with that two tight end set, it's going to set them up to have extra blockers so that you can do both run and pass out of the same formation. I do believe that's what we're going to see from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to be formidable, right? But I think that the moves that you've seen them make have not been all in moves. I think it's just moving chairs around, right? They're kind of in the same spot. You get rid of one good player, you bring in one good player. You bring in one good player offensively, you get rid of one good player offensively. So they're kind of in the same exact spot. So what is this really about? Well, what I think this is really about, this is one last dash for Mike Tomlin. That's what I believe. Uh, Due to the fact that my dad, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles are Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I get a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers commentary without even having to look for it. And they don't think it's time for Mike Tomlin to go. But I think the overall fan base is growing um, impatient with Mike Tomlin. And they're repeated making the playoffs, but no real chance of advancement. And is it Mike Tomlin's fault? Not really, because they haven't really had a solid quarterback in about 7, 8 seasons. And that includes the end of the Ben Roethlisberger era. But if they move on from Mike Tomlin at the end of this season due to the lack of success, and what I mean by lack of success is a true AFC North title and AFC championship berth, something like that, if they move off of him, then there'll be somebody waiting to pick Mike Tomlin up pretty soon. I think he got a contract extension pretty recently, but I don't think that means anything. I think what you see from these latest moves is a last hurrah for Mike Tomlin if this version of the Pittsburgh Steelers do not get it done. Because in truth, you don't have a backup plan at quarterback. You don't. And you got some savvy vets defensively with Slay and Watt and now Ramsey, so on and so forth. So their defense is loaded from front to back. Their offense is solid. And so I think this offseason was the Pittsburgh Steelers' attempt to give Mike Tomlin everything that he needs in order to validate him staying on as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. I think that if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't make some type of major advancements beyond the first and second round of the playoffs, I think Mike Tomlin could be out in Pittsburgh. Let me tell you a supplemental rumor that I think is at play. So down here in Carolina, there is a little bit of talk, a little bit of rumor. I don't know if it's authentic or just somebody talking, but that Dave Canales, the Panthers head coach, new head coach from last season, could be out without a successful season. I think that rumor plays right in part with the potential for Mike Tomlin to be out in Pittsburgh. How so? Well, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper, used to be a former minority owner in Pittsburgh. So who knows and loves Mike Tomlin better than him in ownership? Nobody. And so I think that getting that rumor out there could set the table for if a Mike Tomlin is out, I think you could see him land a job in Carolina if things don't go well. That's just my thoughts on it. So you guys let me know, man, what you guys think, man. Was this move an all-in type move for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Or like me, do you think that they are just moving chairs around and they're kind of in the same place? Again, DK Metcalf in, dynamic duo, George Pickens out, back to one wide receiver. Nigga Fitzpatrick out, Jalen Ramsey in. So you take away a Pro Bowler, add a Pro Bowler, but you were already solid at the cornerback position. So you guys let me know what you guys think, man. All in move or not, or do you think they're just moving chairs around? I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.